realize I'm only keeping you here because the buses will not take you back to your hotel until after David and I have spoken. So I'm Brook Schofield. I'm from the TERENA Secretariat in Amsterdam. I come from the island state of Tasmania, so I've never been to Curaçao, but I think that Tasmania is the most beautiful island in the Great Southern Ocean, and I encourage you to go and visit it. So not only are you hearing my presentation in English, but you're hearing it in Australian English, so you have to deal with that also. So I apologise if you don't understand what I'm talking about. This is how you can contact me in case you want anything clarified. I'll also be available in the ELCIRA booth tomorrow. So I work in Amsterdam. I'm an Australian. I'm part of the eduGAIN team within the GÉANT project, the GN3+ project as it is now. I'm the secretary for the Global eduROAM Governance Committee, and I participate in the ELCIRA project. ELCIRA is trying to bring a family of services that have been developed within the TERENA community and the GÉANT community in Europe to Latin America, and those services are eduROAM and eduGAIN. Has anyone ever heard of eduROAM? There's a decent number of hands, not too many. Okay. I hope you learn about it while you're at TICAL. In fact, if you want to learn more, get out your favourite iDevice or tablet and have a look at the wireless SSIDs that are available. eduROAM is one of the wireless networks that's available at this conference. In fact, this is a map of where eduROAM can be found throughout the planet. So we have 61 countries where eduROAM is available, and if you count quickly, you can see whether my map is accurate. And we have a further, I think, 27 pilot locations where it's available, and they're the lighter colour. So they're in the process of deploying eduROAM, and they haven't got to the stage where the governance committee has decided it's at the level that we're happy with. And they're getting there. These are some stats of eduROAM actually at TICAL. You can visit this Google short URL and you can get to a page which is actually much more impressive than the screenshot that I show you, but it actually shows the organisations that are currently using eduROAM from this location. So this is a zoomed in view of what it's like in Latin America. So we have 3 production deployments in Brazil, Peru, Chile, and we have people from those countries using eduROAM here and now, and we also have some pilot deployments. So hopefully we'll see people from Nova Red and Renata also popping up on the eduROAM statistics map. So eduROAM, a Wi-Fi service that does one thing: it gets you connected to the local Wi-Fi infrastructure. In fact, we use and we work with the Internet Society through the IETF to have some of the lower level standards that are used to build this service actually turned into real standards, so that real vendors like Alcatel-Lucent can actually be encouraged to deploy them, because if they're ideas that are created within the academic community, they can be dismissed as crazy ideas, but through working with IETF, you can then have engineers from vendors as the sounding board, and they can actually deploy the technologies that we've developed in our community. This is eduGAIN, so this is the service that I love and talk about way too much. This is a map of where you can find identity federations throughout the planet, and you'll see there's a colour scheme that goes along on whether they're part of eduGAIN, this federated community, or whether they're working on becoming part of that community, or whether they're just in the process of developing a national identity federation. Now, unlike eduROAM, if you're part of eduROAM, you are interfederated by default. There is only one eduROAM the world over. But for identity federations, they've grown up always at national boundaries, and so eduGAIN is an attempt to allow your University of Chile or your University of Tasmania or your University of Amsterdam account to actually access services that are across a border. Equally, this is the work that we're undertaking within Latin America, and you can see that we have 4 countries that have signed an MOU within the ELCIRA project, and we'll be deploying an identity federation hopefully within within the time period of this project, which will end middle of next year. So as you're building an identity federation, there's some steps that you need to go through. And the first one is you need something at the campus level. So if you're from a campus, from a university, we need to make sure you have an identity management system that has a username password store for authentication at the very minimum. This can be very, very simple, and it can be very complex, but we need one location where this is consolidated. And you can make this system more complex beyond this, but once you've actually got a username password store, you can actually deploy eduROAM as a service. To do identity federation, you need some richer information about the people. Next, we need to expose that campus identity management system via SAML. SAML is the standard, it's standardized through a group called OASIS to do identity federation, or for eduROAM purposes through Radius. Radius gets standardized through the IATF. Then within your NREN community, your NREN will hopefully build an identity federation which will aggregate up all of those identity providers from your institutions and the service providers, and build a framework of trust where people can shift that information around within your NREN community. And then above the NRENs we have eduGAIN, and this is an attempt to aggregate all of that information to a higher level. So there's some patterns that people use to deploy identity federations, and this is sort of the most common one. You'll have, in this example here, you've got 4 federations. They're all contributing some services to eduGAIN, and there'll be a research project that will be made up of an amalgamation of these services that are within eduGAIN. Commonly deployed, but it actually requires every federation to participate to make this work, so that all of the infrastructure that you want to get access to is part of this inter-federation community. There's an option for science gateways and hubs, where you'd actually put lots of services behind a science gateway, or a federation proxy, or a hub and spoke federation, and that would be part of eduGAIN through an identity federation. But these science gateways only tend to support a single community, and so it doesn't actually remove the need for an NREN-based federation. But it's a good stepping stone on the pathway to do that. There's also a proposal, because there's an enabling users project within Géant, to look at creating a research project-based federation. Now this hasn't been done before, but it's an option that's worth exploring if you do have many participants that are beyond existing federation boundaries. But you'd have to have a large project to justify doing this work. So what's the best option? Because people often ask me, and in fact, doing anything in this regard is better than doing nothing. So whether you are doing work in science gateways, whether you're deploying identity providers, whether you're just building up your campus identity management systems, or whether you're discussing this within your NREN community, starting to think about federation is always a good move. And in fact, the desire to share is important for federation and for inter-federation. So for Wi-Fi, for eduROAM, you're sharing your campus Wi-Fi infrastructure so that you get the benefit of campus Wi-Fi infrastructure in thousands of locations around the globe. eduROAM's easy, and I would encourage you to deploy eduROAM swiftly and talk to us about that. On campus, look at the Shibboleth identity provider or simple SAML PHP. Don't wait for a dominant tool to emerge, because some people seem to be from communities that believe that there'll be one solution that will become prominent. And in fact, neither Shibboleth nor simple SAML PHP will die. They both have very, very strong communities. They both support slightly different sectors, and so you should investigate both tools, talk with your NREN, talk with the wider community, and work out which one you want to deploy, and ask for help. In fact, this is an example of a group that really did ask for help and came a really long way in a very short period of time. So COFRE is the identity federation run by Reuna in Chile. They only started operation a little over a year ago, They're joining eduGAIN now, and so they're getting very, very close. You can see they have 14 services available and 3 institutions, including RIA itself as part of their federation. And they've actually developed very quickly because they had very good support from the NREN and management within the NREN. So Sandra Jack, who's here, as well as her boss Paola, and great engineering work from Alejandro Lara. Now the good thing is Alejandro sort of wandered around in the wilderness for a while, waiting for I don't know, enlightenment. And actually he got that as part of the ELCIRA project. The team from RNP, who had built a very successful federation, were able to give advice and guidance to him through refeds, through eduGAIN, and actually this has accelerated the development of this service in a short period of time. And this is what we're trying to do. So if you're interested in this, do come and visit either these people in the ELCIRA booth or the ELCIRA booth in general. So Leandro was sitting in the audience. Javier Richard is back in his hotel because he was up all night making sure EduRoam was working for this venue. And I'm not sure where Jose Luis is. He's here somewhere. So thank you very much. I'm sorry, I hope I've kept to time. And if I haven't, it's David who has to make up the difference. Thank you.